Morning. Thank you for joining us today at the Solihull Chamber of Commerce webinar on business grants in Solihull. We're joined by two speakers today who I'll introduce shortly. They're going to talk us through some of the eligibility criteria, the availability, and also the application process. So first of all, for those of you who I haven't met, I'm Lillian Ellicott, head of the Solihull Chamber of Commerce. And we're joined today by Joe Robinson, who's Head of Income and Awards at Solihull Metropolitan Borough Council, who's going to give an update on local grant funding. And then we're also joined by Alba Cadenas, who is Partner Marketing Manager at Finpoint. She's going to talk about some other finance support, such as the coronavirus business interruption loans and R&D tax credits as well. Then we'll wrap up with a Q&A. So if you do have any questions, there is a Q&A section at the bottom of your screen in which you can put your questions. We'll then run through them at the end. If we have more questions than we have time for in the 45 minutes than we have, we will make sure that we save those questions and reach out to either Joe or Alba to get those answered for you as well. So just very quickly on the chamber, hopefully most of you will know, we are part of the Greater Birmingham Chamber of Commerce group, which has 10 divisions. 6 of them are regional divisions, 4 of them are themed divisions. So obviously today you are a webinar for Solihull Chamber, but do feel free to dip in and out of other sessions as well, particularly whilst everything online. The huge benefit is that you don't have to travel too far to join a different division. We've got different membership levels, as most of you know. So we have starter membership, standard, premier, and 1813. They are aimed at various different companies, different stages of growth, different sizes. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that and make sure that you're in the right membership level, do have a chat with your relationship manager. And for those of you that have joined us today that are not yet members, if you are looking to join, do have a look on our website at the membership levels and also have a chat to us about any Black Friday deals. We're here to connect, support and grow businesses. That's everything that we do is aimed around that. So connecting people through our webinar series, to member offers on our marketplace, support in particular around coronavirus at the moment, but also Brexit. We've got a legal and HR helpline. Anything that a business needs, we try and support them with. And ultimately our aim is to help you grow. Most of you will know by now we have a COVID-19 support grid on our website. As you can see, top right on our website landing page, you can click on that and it brings up anything that you need to know around government support for businesses and charities. I think we are now on version 50, so it is continuously updated. So if after today you want to find out anything more, do have a look at that. And then lastly, just want to run through, if you enjoyed today's session, we have lots of other webinars available. Next week, there is one with the Growth Hub. Also another session on what's next for business finance. And on the 19th, we've got our Pro Solihull networking. It's our most popular networking event and we've taken it online. So do join us if you want to have a chat with some of the members and non-members. 24th of November, we have a session with HSBC. And at 26th of November, we've got our Asian Business Chamber Awards that are online. Hopefully you've all seen the Solihull Awards last month. Very similar, but it's our Asian Business Chamber Awards that evening. And then on the 30th of November, we've got our Brexit Clinic. I think COVID is overshadowing a lot, but Brexit is happening. So if you want to find out anything more, join us for that event on the 30th of November. And then lastly, before I hand over to Joe, just want to make you all aware that we are currently surveying for our Q4 quarterly business report. We use this to get a feel of the region, how businesses are doing, what the issues they are facing, firstly, so we can support you better, but also so we can escalate that to regional and local government and lobby on your behalf. So we'll make sure that in the follow-up, you get the link to the survey. It takes 3 minutes to fill in. So please, if you haven't yet, I'd like to ask you all to do that. Right, that's all for me. I'm going to hand over to Joe, who is going to talk you through grant funding in Solihull. Right. Welcome, Jo. Thank you very much for joining us.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me along. Okay, so I'm going to do a update on what we know so far in terms of the local restriction support grants. So my name's Jo Robinson. I'm the Head of Income and Awards at Solihull Council, and I'll just make a start by going through some of the background, where we are now, what it means for businesses in Solihull and what the next steps are. So can we do the next slide, please, Grace? Okay, so where did it start? We've had lots of government announcements over the last couple of months, particularly for business grants. They were during September and October. So we had the first announcement on the 9th of September, and this was an announcement to support businesses who had gone into the Tier 3 restrictions. Originally, this was going to be a maximum of £1,500 every 3 weeks for businesses. That was superseded by a further announcement on the 9th of October, which actually increased that maximum to £3,000 for every month for those that were in Tier 3. And then I think due to the various lobbying that happened from businesses, it was kind of acknowledged that those businesses in Tier 2 were also being impacted by local restrictions. And therefore, on the 22nd of October, it was announced that a maximum grant of £2,100 every month for those in Tier 2 would be available. We had the final announcement quite recently on the 31st of October, and this confirmed that a discretionary scheme would be available for one-off payments to support businesses, and that money would then come to local authorities for us to administer. Move on to the next slide, please, Grace. So where are we now? So we had the official guidance on the 4th of November, and that was given to us by the Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. And it confirms actually that we've got to implement 5 schemes, and I'm going to go through those. They haven't got very snappy titles, I'm afraid, so I will go through them as they are described. So we've got the Local Restriction Support Grant open, and this applies to businesses who are in or were in Tier 2 areas. We've then got the Local Restriction Support Grant closed, and that applies to businesses who are in or were in the Tier 3 areas. And most importantly, we've then got the Local Restriction Support Grant Closed Addendum Scheme, and this applies to businesses who are in the national lockdown. So this applies across all local authority areas, as we're in a national lockdown at the moment. We've then got the Local Restriction Support Grant sector, and this applies to certain sectors of businesses that haven't been able to reopen since the first restriction in March. And then finally, we've got the Additional Restrictions Grant, and this is the completely discretionary scheme. And the aim of this scheme is to support those businesses who aren't actually eligible for one of the local restriction support grants. So I'm going to go through those in more detail now. It's quite important to know that those schemes do actually supersede each other. And I will go through that in slightly more detail across the next slides too. So if we can move on to the next slide. Okay, so what does this mean for businesses in Solihull? So firstly, as Solihull was placed into Tier 2 from the 14th of October, it does mean that the Local Restriction Support Grant Open will actually be applied for businesses from the 14th of October to the 5th of November. And those eligible businesses will be those in the hospitality, hotel, bed and breakfast and leisure industry. And quite importantly, they must be liable for business rates to be eligible for this scheme. We do have some slight discretion on this funding. However, the funding allocation given to us is based on the number of eligible businesses within our area. Therefore, we are going to be applying the grants as per the guidance that was issued. So it is based on the rateable value of your business. So if your rateable value is exactly £15,000 or under, the grant will be £934 per 28-day period. If your rateable value is between 15,000 and 51,000, then it will be £1,400 per 28-day period. And if it's 51,000 or above, then you will receive the maximum, which is £2,100 per month. So if we can move on to the next slide, please, Grace. So this means We will be implementing the open scheme, and that will be in place from the 14th of October to the 5th of November. And then the closed scheme actually supersedes that original scheme. So what this means is that, oh, I do apologise, sorry, I'll come on to that one next. So this closed scheme is actually for businesses who are in Tier 3. Solihull was never actually placed into Tier 3, so this scheme doesn't apply at the moment. However, if after the national lockdown we were to be placed into Tier 3, then this scheme would actually be available for businesses. The businesses who would be eligible are those who have been given formal publication that they need to close. And again, they must be liable for business rates to be eligible for that scheme. This scheme is slightly different in the rates. The value of the grants are per 14-day period, and they are £667 per 14-day period if the rateable value is 15,000 or below, £1,000 per 14-day period if the rateable value is between 15,000 and 51, and a grant of £1,500 per 14-day period if the rateable value is 51,000 or above. So as I say, this scheme won't actually apply to Solihull at the moment, unless after the national lockdown we are placed into Tier 3. Okay, so we can move on to the next slide. So this is the actual scheme that's going to apply for business as at this date. So this is the closed addendum scheme, and this applies to businesses when a national lockdown is in place. So we're in a national lockdown at the moment, and we are from the 5th of November to the 2nd of December. Therefore, eligible businesses will be able to apply for this grant now. So the eligible businesses will be those that have been mandated to close by government. So these are non-essential retail, leisure, personal care, sports facilities and hospitality. And I've actually included a link there to the list on the gov.uk website. Again, the business must be liable for business rates to be eligible for this. And the grants are shown at the bottom of the slide. So it's £1,334 per 28-day period if the rateable value is 15,000 or under. It's £2,000 per 28-day period if it's between 15,000 and 51. And then the maximum is £3,000 if the RV is 51,000 or above. If your business would fall into the Tier 2 scheme and the national lockdown scheme, then you will receive a grant for each period that the scheme was in place. Okay, what happens after the 2nd of December in terms of what scheme is then in place for Solihull very much depends on what tier we are put into. So if after the 2nd of December we're put into Tier 2, then the open scheme would be in place. If after the 2nd of December we were put into Tier 3, then the closed scheme would then be put in place. Okay, so we can move on to the next slide. So this is a separate scheme that is quite specific to certain sectors. So this is for eligible businesses that have been unable to reopen since the original lockdown in March. Then nightclubs, dance halls, discotheques, hostess bars, that type of business. The business must be liable for business rates and are also planning to reopen once the restrictions are lifted. This scheme was created by government on the 1st of November, so the payment will actually only apply from the 1st of November to the 5th of November, when the national lockdown scheme will then be in place. So this one isn't retrospective, and we will have to pro-rata the payment from the 1st of November to the 5th of November. And the grants there are confirmed. It's 667 or £1,000 or 1,500, and that is a 14-day period. So we will have to pro-rata that payment for any eligible business in our area. Okay, we can move on to the next slide. So the next slide, this is the additional restrictions grant, and this is the completely discretionary scheme. So we've been given an allocation of funding by government to provide a discretionary scheme, and the aim of this scheme, we are encouraged as local authorities to support businesses that have been severely impacted by the COVID restrictions but may not qualify under the original schemes that I've just gone through. It's really important to note that this is a fixed allocation of funding, and we won't be given any additional funding if either another national lockdown is put into place, or if Solihull is placed into Tier 3, either after national lockdown or at some point in the future. It therefore needs really careful planning, and in some way we need to kind of plan for the unknown really on how far we may need this money into the future. So we are developing our scheme for Solihull. It's not yet confirmed, but we are developing that behind the scenes. It is likely to be available for those businesses who are not eligible for a local restriction support grant, but whose business has been impacted by the COVID restrictions. As the same for the other discretionary business grants we did earlier on in the year, there's likely to be a fixed application window so that we can see how many businesses are going to apply for that funding. We will require evidence to be uploaded as part of the application process, and it's a plea really that if you are going to make an application for this scheme, that you do upload all of the information with your application. Without that, it will lead to delays, and obviously we're keen to get this support out to businesses as soon as we possibly can. Okay, so if I can just go through the next steps now, if I move on to the next slide. So the next steps is businesses will need to apply for each scheme separately, and there will be an online application form for you to do that. So we're going to be having 3 application forms. One application form will be for the Tier 2 open scheme, and that scheme is in place from the 14th of October to the 5th of November, but obviously the application will be live in the next day or so. There is also going to be an online application for the national lockdown scheme, and there will also be an application for the additional restrictions grant, which is the completely discretionary scheme. The reason why a separate application is required for each scheme is because the eligibility criteria is slightly different. They may have a different effective date, or we may be asking additional information from you. So we are working as quickly as we possibly can to get the application forms published. We had the guidance on the 4th of November for the schemes, but we've also had updates. We had an update last Monday, and a further update is due this Monday too. So we are working as quickly as possible to get those application forms published, and we hope that they will be published early next week. We have tried to make it as easy as we possibly can for businesses to complete the application forms, because again, we know that we want to get this support out to you as soon as we possibly can. So there is some information that you are going to need before you begin with the applications. I just wanted to go through that briefly now. So you will need your business rates account number, and that will be on your latest business rates bill. If you cannot find that, then you can contact our team, and I've given the phone number there. Without your business rates account number, you won't be able to apply or submit your application. You will also need to confirm the rateable value of your business. You can do that using the Valuation Office website, and I've included a link there to the RV checker. We will also need your company's house or VAT registration number if applicable, and then we also need the bank details for the business, and it will be those bank details that we will pay the grant to. State aid limits will apply to all of the schemes, and there will be a declaration as part of the application to confirm you are aware of those and that you are actually within the state aid limits, and that will be required as part of your application submission. Okay, I think it's the final slide now, please, Grant. So more information has been published yesterday evening actually on the gov.uk website, so I've provided a link there which just goes into a little bit more detail about each of the schemes. It is really important that you check our website for updates, so once the application forms are live and published, the information will be on our website, along with an explanation about the eligibility criteria and also the information you need before you get started. Once the applications are live, we will also publicise via our social media channels and through networks such as the Federation of Small Business as well. So please do keep an eye out on those communication methods if you can. Our aim will be to verify and process the payments as quickly as possible. We've done some modelling, and we've got a considerable number of businesses who we think are eligible. So it's a case of please bear with us. We are going to do this as quickly as we possibly can. Once your payment has been processed, you will receive an email from us to confirm when you can expect your payment. So please, if I can ask that you make sure you provide the correct information when you complete your application. Any incorrect or missing information will unfortunately lead to delays, as we will be processing the applications that are complete first. So I hope that gives a bit of a roundup in terms of the different schemes. It is quite a complex area because the schemes do supersede each other, but hopefully our application will make it as straightforward as possible, and the information that I've provided today kind of gives some background of what you will need before you start your application process. So I think that was it from me. Thank you.
Thanks very much for that, Jo. I think that was very useful. I think, like you say, it is very complex, but that's because regulations keep changing. So I think it's been very helpful to kind of get an overview of what is available. We will keep everyone up to date. So everyone who's attending today, when we get updates from SMBC, we will make sure to communicate to all of you as well. So thank you very much for that. Alba, can I hand over to you now to run through FinPoint's finance support? Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Lily. I'm going to share my screen. Just give me one sec. Here. Okay, can everybody see the screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, I'm here to introduce you a tool called Business Finance Hub. Like basically through this tool, any businesses can apply for finance in one go with one simple online application. So the benefits of use this type of tools will be like, first of all, it's totally free. So any businesses can come here and apply for business anytime. Also, we give the businesses totally control. So it's not TV appointed, no cold calls. The businesses will be always in control of the whole process. They decide who they want to speak with, when. It's also like no credit check. We anonymize and protect your data. So any application, they are going to be protected. At least you get to a point where you would like to speak with one lender or other. We also, through technology, can lowers the cost of finance, cutting like effort and cost, because we give the opportunity with one application to get into our panel, like we got 134 plus lenders. We also cover like the whole range of product these days. Obviously, coronavirus loans, I'm going to speak after about this. Business loans, commercial mortgage, assets finance, working capital, invoice finance, basically the whole bunch. Another thing we can do also with this application is anyone who is interested in R&D grant, they can claim until 30%, sorry, actually 33% of the tax back into tax refunds or even cash if they qualify and they are eligible. So in the application form, when you fill in the application form, it's quite important. There is an option where they will say, what is the primary use of the funding? Just click on tax credit. And then another reason for the funding, just click for research and development project, and they will take you straight to R&D tax credit. We will offer, like, if you qualify, like 30 minutes call with one of the experts, and they will handle the whole process for you, helping you to get this grant. This also platform gives you the options. We have traditional lenders and traditional banks, but we also have different type of finance providers. So it's like a way to, in one go, you explore the whole market. So how you can apply is two ways. One, you can apply here. I'm going to share both of the links on the chat after my presentation. And the other one, you can go to the Birmingham Chamber of Commerce and check in member benefits, and we are also there. So what is available now in the market, where the good news we have is like we got extended the coronavirus loan scheme until 31st of January. So this give businesses the opportunity, like if you don't qualify for a grant and you're looking for a plan B, this can be your plan B. So it's two types of products under the Corona loans scheme. One is the bounce back loans. To get access to any bounce back loans, you need to go to your own bank and check your own bank actually is on the list of the banks available to give you the bounce back loans, and then you need to apply directly with them. If it's not that case, it's quite difficult because the new banks, they're not really looking for new customers, and if they do, you probably will be not able to reach the end of these coronavirus loan schemes. But it's worth it to try. We can give you advice, and we can also like pointing you and giving you a plan B if you don't qualify for any bounce back loans. In terms of the other option is CBILS. CBILS is is part of the scheme, and basically the platform can offer you different options when you come to us, and you can check like different type of lenders and different type of product in one go. This is for loans normally between 50 and 1K to 5 millions, and it's for businesses they've been trading for 2 or 3 years at least. So it's quite important to prove or to have like when you apply for any of these, it's like you need to really prove to the lender like basically your business have been affected for COVID-19, and this is why you apply for that. Yeah, the interest fee will be covered for the government for the first 12 months, and normally the interest rate will be between 1.4 and up to 8.9. And we can help you with all the process, and also to fill up all the papers for these applications before the end of the deadline, basically. Normally, to give you like a big a bunch of what kind of documents, this is depend on the lenders and depend on the business situation, but normally they will ask for 2 years of fill of company accounts, up-to-date management account, if this is available, something you got. Also 3 to 6 months of bank and business bank statements, and a clear purpose. As I mentioned before, it's quite clear you had your case, like why your business is being affected for COVID-19. So this is the coronavirus schemes. We also keep doing any type of loans these days. So if you are in any situation and you would like to apply for different kind of funding these days, also fill the form, and the finance expert team, they will be able to help. Yeah, and we're here to help anyone. We've been doing this since March, and we are here to support all the businesses that we can, basically, and try to, if we can support, we will keep giving you like different kind of advice and options. And our advice, they're always impartial, because we like in the middle, we will not have any interest for you to go to one path or the other. It's just to help, is where we basically do. The last thing, if we can pass to next slides, to his last one, please, Grace. The last one is like we got 2 events coming up, to is our upcoming webinars. The first one we are doing together with the Birmingham Chamber. And so basically, if you want to know more about what is next for business finance, please join our expert on 19th of November at 11 a.m. The webinar is totally free, and will be like our CEO is delivering this webinar, plus with some different kind of members of the chamber. So we'll be like quite interested chat about what is next for business finance. And also, you are in the trade industry and you are an import, an export, and are like have any question about what is next, what is going to happen, how everything is going to change, and would like to know more about trade finance, we are doing another webinar on 19th of November at 10 a.m. It's also totally free, and it's also delivered by our CEO and one of our lenders, who is an expert in trade finance. And they are going to discuss everything about trade finance. So you just need to save the link in the presentation, and you just need to join. It's not like email or follow up, just come on 19th of November at 10 a.m. and join in the link. And that's it. If you got any question, I'm going to stay here and answer, and I'm also happy to answer any question by private or follow up after. So yeah, thank you very much.
Great, Alba, thank you very much for that. So I hope that's been useful so far. I'm just going to open the Q&A because there's quite a few questions in there. So Alba and Joanna, I'll run those by you both, and hopefully we'll be able to answer those. If we can't answer them today, we'll do our best to get answers for you. So the first one is from Andrew Abbots. We work in the trade exhibitions, which due to government regulations have been shut since March. Where do we stand as we're not allowed back to work and have not been able to work for 8 months? So Joanna, is there anything you can advise on that?
I think it all depends on the circumstances of the business. So do they occupy a business premise? Are they liable for business rates? If so, then I would encourage them to make an application for the national lockdown scheme. Alternatively, we haven't finalised the details of the discretionary scheme yet. However, I would also encourage them to have a look at that scheme once it is published, especially if they don't pay business rates on their property or their business. Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much for that.
Then I have got another one here. To be eligible for a grant, does my business registered address have to be in Solihull? I'm a Solihull resident, but my registered address is in Coventry.
Okay, so you claim a grant from the local authority where your business is registered. So in that case, it would be Coventry, if that's where the business premise is.
So they'd need to look at what Coventry Council is offering in terms of.
Yes, so the offering will be the same for the, well, it should be very similar for the open. It will be the same for the closed and same for the closed addendum. And then the discretionary grant will be obviously at the discretion of Coventry.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Someone's asked which grants have to be applied for versus which ones are given automatically.
So they will all need to be applied for.
That's what I thought. Brilliant, thank you for that.
And a separate application for each grant as well.
Okay. And they will all be on the same website, Joanne?
They'll all be on the same website, and it will explain which application responds to which, relates to which grant.
So there's a lot of questions coming in now. So is the additional restrictions grant, if they apply to all businesses, is it sole trader and limited or just limited?
As I said, the actual details of our specific scheme haven't been finalised yet. But if it's open to businesses who aren't eligible for the local restriction support grant, it will generally be eligible for a variety of businesses rather than just a specific, for example, sole trader. But until the details are confirmed, I would say just keep an eye on our website for the criteria for that.
So likely to be a yes, but just until that's all firmed up.
Yes,
okay.
It needs to be firmed up before we can say for definite.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Judy Mondrell's asking, how will we know when the application has gone live on the Solihull website? I think the council will be able to let us know and we can make all of the delegates aware.
Yeah, we can let you know. It will be on our website on the link that I've provided as part of the presentation, which I think Grace is going to share afterwards, and will also be on our social media channels as well. I would hope that the applications go live early next week, so you know, please do keep checking.
A question from Lisa: is the Tier 2 grant funding open to non-profit CICs?
The Tier 2 scheme is quite specific in that it's hospitality, hotel, bed and breakfast and the leisure industry. So without knowing the finer details of the particular CIC, if they felt that they fit into one of those categories, then they would need to submit their application form. So what I would ask is that when the forms are live, they have a look at the eligibility criteria to see if they think their business fits within those sectors.
Thank you for that. I've got one from Rosina Mosdale. She says her business is within the event sector. They source venues for conferences and meetings. So effectively, they've been closed since March.
Yeah.
In order to try and save their business, they gave up their offices at the end of August. So obviously that kind of changes the business rate situation. Would they still be considered, or what would you advise her to do?
I would, excuse me, I would strongly advise that they look out for the discretionary scheme that we will be publishing, the ARG, and if they are still operating their business, perhaps from home, that they see whether they fit the criteria. So I would say in that particular instance to kind of keep an eye out for the discretionary scheme.
Okay, thank you very much. Someone said, Judy said, they're a hairdressing salon. They were locked down on the 5th of November. They started trading in April 2020 and are in business premises. Would they be eligible for the Tier 2 scheme and the Tier 3 scheme?
Based on just those limited details, I would say it will be the Tier 3 national lockdown scheme. The description of hairdressers doesn't fall into the sectors that we've been given for hospitality or leisure. So, but it does certainly fall within the sectors for the national lockdown one.
Yeah, lovely, thank you. Someone's asked how this will help chauffeuring businesses that obviously probably have been able to trade, but with a lot less capacity or a lot less business.
Yeah, so if their business has been told to close and stop operating, and they are a business premise and liable for business rates, then I would recommend that they have a look at the eligibility criteria for the national lockdown scheme. If they're not a business rate payer, then I would ask them to keep an eye out for the details of the discretionary scheme to see if they may be eligible for that instead.
Lovely, thank you very much. James Roberts has asked if we know the size of the discretionary fund yet.
Yes, we do. It's just over £4 million. And just to put that in a little bit of context, we awarded in the region of £27 million for business grants under the earlier schemes. So whilst a discretionary fund is always welcomed, we just need to manage expectations that as much as we would like to help every business, we've just got a very finite amount of funding. And as I mentioned too in my earlier presentation as well, that this funding is up to the end of March, and if we were to go into Tier 3 or another national lockdown, we wouldn't be given anything else. So it's a case of trying to make that funding kind of last as long as we can, really.
Lovely, thank you. There is just one question I think that I still saw. It's just disappeared off my screen. Quick look for it. Alba, I think it was a question. Oh, here I found it. Sorry. Someone said they've applied for BBL and the loan was granted. They are wondering if they would be eligible to apply for a CBIL loan as well.
Yeah, they can probably, I just replied to this person, so they probably will be able to top up with a CBIL, the must-have loan they already have, but it depends of each business, depend on the situation. So the best advice here is like spend 5 minutes to fill the form, and then the technology can give you an answer straight away, like you're eligible for this and that, and you can go for that. Or also, all our finance advisor, they review all the applications, so they will be able to give him like any option, like, well, this is the CBIL option, you will have to top up your bank loans. So I just shared the link, so if he can fill or she can fill the form, will be fantastic, and we will help from there.
Okay, excellent. So it just depends on their circumstances,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
there is an option that
there is a possibility. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Brilliant. I think that was all the questions we've had. That's quite a lot. So thank you, Joanna and Alba, for running through your presentations and answering all the questions. If anyone has any other questions, obviously, please do feel free to quickly pop them in the Q&A, or otherwise reach out to myself and I will ask Joe and Alba to answer those another time. To summarise, this has been recorded, so we will share this. We will also share all the slides with everybody. So hopefully that's given you a slightly more of an insight into what is available, how you can apply. We will keep you updated in terms of when the application forms are live on the council website, so that you can have a look and fill those forms in where relevant. Obviously, if you are concerned and you're not sure what you are eligible, have a look on their website, or else have a chat to Alba and complete their form to see if you can apply for any of the bounce back or civils loans, or if they can help in any other way. So I think that's all from us. So thank you all very much for attending. Joe and Alba, again, thank you very much for speaking, and I hope everybody has a great Friday. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.